What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mag. So I thought I'd do a bit of a different video on the channel today. I thought I'd do a live stream of the latest news. That way I can interact a bit with you guys and, of course, see what you have to say on this news as well. So as it is, the news has come out this morning from Fabrizio Romano, David Ornstein, Ben Jacobs, even Keith Downey and Craig Hope have talked about this as well. And it is now saying that Benjamin Sesko is going to Manchester United. I mean, I am disappointed to see that the lad has chose Man United over ourselves. I mean, especially with what we can offer the player as well. But from the reports going around, it seems as though it's been a money-orientated decision by Benjamin Sesko. I mean, looking at it, it's not good, to be honest, on his side of things. I mean, if you want, to prove yourself in the Premier League, Newcastle United's pretty much the best place to come because we've got a project here. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows that we're on the rise. We're gaining, revenue year upon year upon year, 30%, growth every single year we are gaining on our revenue streams. So it won't be long until we are able to, match these teams like Man United, like Liverpool, like Arsenal, Chelsea and the like for the wages that they are offering to teams. And I mean, if it's purely down to a monetary gain for Benjamin Sesko, you do have to question, why he's making that move. Yes, you can get money, but I mean, if you want to prove yourself in the Premier League, then you don't go to a team like Man United, who finished down in 14th last season, I believe it was. That they finished. When you go into teams like that who don't have Europe, they don't have, the performance from last season. Yes, it's a new season. Yes, things are going to change, obviously, and they are, trying to get different players in here and there. But I mean, it's very annoying to lose out on a player to a team like that because of money, just purely down to money. I mean, literally, is FFP helping the situation here? No, it's not. Is PSR helping the situation here? No, it's not. I mean, literally look at the landscape of football right now, and the only teams that can literally spend anything is them teams. It's Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs, these teams. Them are the teams that are the only teams that are allowed to go out there, even with the debt that Man United has got. They're allowed to go out there and they're allowed to just spend freely. I mean, what is the entire purpose of FFP if these teams that are already in massive amounts of debt and have absolutely no capital behind them to be able to go out there and buy these players are able to just freely go out there and, borrow the money against the club and buy these players? It's just absolutely beyond a joke. And then when you look at the outside of the Premier League, you've got teams like Morecambe who have went into liquidation. Morecambe needs at least 5 million. That's it, 5 million. It's nothing compared to, the money that's being spent around in the Premier League these days. 5 million to keep that team afloat. Bury was the same, and they ended up going into liquidation. It's just absolutely beyond a joke that teams like Man United, in the debt that they're in, can still go out and buy these players. And Red Times there, Newcastle spread their legs and said, "Are you in yet, Sesko?" I mean, there's no need for them kinds of comments. There really isn't. That is just absolutely beyond a joke by Red Times. There's just no need for them comments. I get banter. I don't mind banter. But them kinds of comments are just not needed. They're really not. It's really beyond a joke. It is. These teams, like yours, clearly you're a Liverpool fan, mates. You know, at the end of the day, your teams can go out there, you can spend whatever you want freely, and you're not, handcuffed by the Premier League, you're not handcuffed by FFP, you're not handcuffed by PSR. But teams like ourselves, Aston Villa, Nottingham Forest, and other teams in a similar mold to that are trying to compete at the top end and trying to get into that top six. And we've done it. We've been in there. You know, we finished fifth last season. We should have probably finished second last season. You know, Aston Villa's done it as well. Nottingham Forest was it a long point throughout the season in that position to finish with Champions League football, and then ended up obviously dropping into the Conference League positions of the league. But I mean, it's beyond a joke that these teams can just go out there and do what they're doing. It's really pathetic. And I mean, you do have to question, what is the purpose of FFP? What is the purpose of PSR? What's the entire purpose of it if these teams can go out there and do whatever they want freely? Looking at, the news, as you could see, Keith Downey saying Newcastle United have tried everything to get a deal done for Benjamin Sesko, but the striker clearly has his sights set on a move to Man United. I mean, I don't know why you would want to go there. I really don't. It's a sinking ship. They're in so much debt and they're literally going absolutely nowhere, Manchester United. So I don't see why a player would want to go there. I mean, a lot of people can scream about, it's a legacy. They've got a legacy. Well, everybody's got a legacy. You know, we didn't just open the doors to the club yesterday. You know, everybody has a legacy in football. We've all had to start from somewhere. And when you look at our legacy, if you want to call it that, compared to the likes of Man United, we were winning trophies well before Man United were even called Man United. They were called Newton Heath when we were winning trophies. Liverpool, the same. We were called Newcastle United well before Liverpool were winning trophies, and we were doing all of that stuff well beforehand. It's only since the 60s when Liverpool got their money from Littlewoods, and Littlewoods was running the league, that Liverpool were able to do what they were doing. Then the same goes for Man United, with the creation of the Premier League. Obviously, they won trophies before that, but the creation of the Premier League is where, you started to see Man United getting that helping hand and going out there and winning the trophies because they were getting a helping hand. We've seen this plenty of times where teams are doing this, and it's just absolutely beyond a joke. And like Kevin says, down there, I wonder if it is worth following football anymore. I think Newcastle owners have a lot of answer for. I don't think they do, Kevin. I really don't, to be honest, because when you look at it, what owners have done absolutely everything in their power, physically possible right now, to go out there and get the players that we need to get to improve this squad. And at every single turn in this window, I get it. It's meant to be competitive. Obviously, there's going to be people coming in for the same players because we're looking at a very small pool of players here. But we're going out there and we're going and looking at, say, Benjamin Sesko, Man United in there for him. Arsenal were in there, obviously, beforehand. But then you've got the other players, like Hugo Ekitike. Newcastle wanting to get him. Liverpool wanted him. They wanted Isak. I mean, how many players do these teams want? We'll look at Chelsea this season already. They have spent thousands upon millions of pounds on players in this window, and yet still they do not get sanctioned. They do not get penalties put against them. They're allowed to do whatever they want. These clubs just have a free rein to go out there and do whatever they want. That is the problem with the modern game. We're looking at this and we're trying to get, an area where everybody is playing on a competitive scale And we're not getting that. We're getting anti-competitive football because the Premier League only want a select group of teams at the top of the peak. They only want that select group right there at the top constantly. They want teams like Chelsea. They want teams like Man U. They want Liverpool. They want Arsenal. They want all these teams. They hate the fact that Man City won so many titles in recent years. They absolutely hate the fact that teams like Man City came along and won the trophies and started beating away the likes of Liverpool, beating away the likes of Man United. I mean, them are the teams, that at one point were playing outside of the Premier League for a reasonable amount of time. The stuff that Man City has done, whether people want to say it's corrupt, it's buying the league. I mean, what did Liverpool do? What did Man United do? What did Chelsea do? Under Roman Abramovich coming in. Before Roman Abramovich came into Chelsea, Chelsea were doing absolutely nothing. Chelsea were going to be bankrupt. They were going to go out of business. Then Roman Abramovich came in and suddenly Chelsea's winning the league titles. They're winning cups. Nobody had a problem with that. And I wonder why. Because it's a London club, because it's one of their clubs, it's one of their teams that they like. And this is what we keep saying. It's absolutely beyond a joke. It just really boils your piss, to be honest, because it's just absolutely beyond a joke. I mean, let's look at, another comment here from Kevin. Kevin coming in with another comment and saying Sky has a lot to answer for too. They are so ruddy Pro 6. It is embarrassing. They are. That's what I'm saying. It's just completely and utterly beyond a joke. Sky don't give a crap about teams like Newcastle. They don't give a crap about teams like Villa, Forest, Brighton. They don't give a crap about any team other than their select group of teams, but they're okay with when teams like ourselves, Newcastle, like Aston Villa, like Forest, are on TV because it's going to bring the broadcasting views. And we've proved it on umpteen occasions. When Newcastle are on the TV, we bring the viewing figures. We've proved it. We played Oxford United in a cup game and we got the biggest views. We played Cambridge United in a cup game, we got the biggest views. We played PSG in the Champions League, one of the most entertaining European nights that anybody has seen in recent times, and the viewing figures were there. But we've got all these people just doing this absolute shit every single time, where they're just constantly backing these teams like Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, and until we get away from this Stone Age view of looking at football and thinking these teams are still at the peak of the top end of football. Yes, Liverpool won a Premier League title last season, but we've already got people thinking that Liverpool's going to win a Premier League title again this season. It doesn't work like that. I mean, literally look at the last time Liverpool won the Premier League. The last time Liverpool won the Premier League was under Jurgen Klopp. Did they defend it the next season? No, they didn't. Will they defend it this season? Who knows? But I mean, literally, what Arne Slot did coming into Liverpool, is coming into a team that wasn't actually his. He came into a team that was already pretty much set up for him. He didn't have to do much other than, put the team out there, select the right tactics, and that is basically it, And then, of course, the fact of Mo Salah having the season that he did as well, it's just absolutely beyond a joke. But anyway, back to the subject of Newcastle. And you can say Sandcastle, please don't cry. What happens when you're a small club? I mean, you can say that all you like at the end of the day, because you might be able to laugh now at, Newcastle. You might be able to laugh now at other teams like Villa and Forest as well. But, I mean, eventually our time is coming. We've won ourselves a League Cup title last season with our hands tied behind our back. We'll beat the likes of, Liverpool in the final. We'll beat teams like Chelsea in there. We'll beat other big teams as well. So we didn't exactly do it the easy way. So all of you, fans from rival clubs that are coming into the chat and being big Billy Bill bollocks, can be big Billy Bill bollocks all you friggin' want, because at the end of the day, Newcastle United are going to be coming for that Premier League title at some point. We are going to be winning the cups, whether you like it or not. We've seen it with Man City, with this. The Premier League did this back when Man City got their takeover, not to obviously the extent that they are doing it now, because there's a lot more rules being put in for financial stability, if you want to call it that. But, I mean, it's absolutely beyond a joke. It really does annoy us, the fact that, these teams can just go out there, spend freely, even though they're in so much debt. It really is an annoying factor, and it's something that needs to be looked into. The governing body, of course, is coming in, so that, I'm guessing, will be something, hopefully, that rectifies this problem that we are seeing in football, of course, which is the corruption at the highest level. It's quite evident that this is going on now. And then you've got the media, backing it as well. The likes of Fabrizio Romano putting out pro posts for these teams. Only wanted this, only wanted that. That is what I've heard all summer long so far in this window from the likes of Romano and Ornstein, is the fact that we have heard the likes of these big named journalists coming out and saying Ekitike only wanted Newcastle, then 5 seconds later saying, Ekitike only wanted Liverpool because Liverpool got the deal done. I mean, make up your fucking mind, make up your mind. It's absolutely beyond a joke, and it really does annoy you to no end. It really does. But looking at some of the comments here, we've got, again, Kevin in there saying this is the angriest I've seen you. Yeah, because I'm really pissed off. With the way things are going on. And it's beyond a joke, because we've got, free reign PSR, we've got free reign FFP, we can go out there, we can spend the money, we've got money to spend, we've got loads of money to spend, and we've got the Premier League handcuffing we and telling we, you can't spend that because this team would be unhappy. You can't spend this thing over here. You can't do this thing over here because this team would be unhappy. I mean, is this the Premier League? Is this English football? Is this meant to be competitive? Because I think, at some point along the line, people have forgotten that the whole idea of football is that there's meant to be a bunch of teams competing for a trophy here. There's meant to be a bunch of teams competing for a league title, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it. We're not seeing the football that we should be seeing. That's what I'm trying to get at here. We're not seeing the entertaining football that is there. There's a potential there for some really good entertaining football, and we're not getting to see it because the Premier League won't loosen the purse strings. They won't allow teams like ourselves, like Villa, like Forest, to go out there and spend the money that we need to spend, the money that we should be allowed to spend, because we have earned the right to do so. But no, we're not getting to do that because it would upset some team in the Northwest, or it would upset some team in the south of England. It's beyond a joke. It really is. And it just keeps going on and on and on. And to make it even worse, Liverpool's got Ekitike. They've got who they want, be it their second choice. But they're still after Alexander Isak. They're still after Alexander Isak. And I mean, unless you can afford to pay the money that we are asking for Isak, then Isak goes absolutely nowhere. Newcastle have said it, unless we have a replacement in, which looks like we're not going to be able to get, because every time we try to bloody get one, there's a team popping up and stealing away that person because they're able to offer bigger wages, 300, 400 grand a week wages. It's beyond a joke. It really is. And we're seeing it way too much. It's not competitive anymore. It's anti-competitive, and it's been proven for quite a while now that the Premier League is anti-competitive, and it needs to be sorted before we start seeing a decline in the broadcasting revenue for the Premier League, because eventually people will turn away. There's a lot of people that don't support these teams, like Liverpool, like Man U, like Chelsea, that will turn away from watching and paying for Sky subscriptions, TNT subscriptions. People will move away from it because it is getting to a point now where we are seeing, the teams like, ourselves, like Villa, like Forest, and other teams that want to compete, and they're not being able to go out there and spend the money that they need to spend. I mean, look at Brentford this season. This window alone, since last season ended, we've seen Brentford be ripped apart. We've seen Thomas Frank go to Tottenham. We've seen Brian Mbeumo leave. We've seen the mentions of Wissa. Fair enough, he's been mentioned to Newcastle, but he's also been mentioned to other clubs as well. And then you've seen the likes of Nordgaard going to Arsenal. Brentford have been absolutely ripped apart this season. God help them going into this season. I really do feel sorry for their fan base, because Brentford were a really, really good club that had a lot of really good stuff going for them. And God help them going into this season, because it is absolutely going to be just a nightmare. It is going to be a nightmare for them. And then other teams that are in the Premier League as well. I mean, you just have to look at the wage structure. Look at what the wage structure is and what is going on there. I mean, I think I've got it somewhere here. I can show you, guys. And there it is there. You can see it, right there. You've got Liverpool for how much the most spent in the Premier League so far this window. There it is right there. You've got Liverpool sitting at the top at 252.2 million. And then you just need to look at the bottom end of it, really. You've got Fulham, you've got Palace, you've got Aston Villa at only 6 million, you've got Bournemouth 36.4, Brentford 48, Everton in there, West Ham in there, ourselves in there at 56.7, Forest in there. These are teams that are trying to compete at the top end. We can't spend the money that we want to spend. But look at the top six. Look at that area. You've got Tottenham in there. You've got Man U in there. You've got City in there. You've got Arsenal in there. Chelsea, Liverpool. Look at Chelsea and Liverpool alone. Well ahead of the likes of Arsenal. Well ahead of the likes of Man City. Well ahead of the likes of, Man U. And when you put, us up against that top six of spending, that just shows you, we're handcuffed. Nottingham Forest as well. Aston Villa as well. Just handcuffing us to stop us from being able to compete at the top end. It is absolutely beyond a joke, and it needs to get sorted, because it is getting out of hand now. It really is. And I mean, I'm absolutely pissed off. As you can tell in this video, I am really, really pissed off with the way things are going, and it is annoying, not only myself, but I'm sure other people out there that, support Newcastle as well, and other teams that are in the similar boat to us, who are trying to compete, but are being held back by the Premier League, because the Premier League wants to keep the likes of Liverpool there, Chelsea there, Arsenal there, Man U there, Tottenham there. Man City are trying their best to keep going, and even they're being, pushed back with charges, trying to charge them 115 charges. It's just absolutely beyond a joke. It needs to be sorted. It needs to be sorted now. I mean, it's getting out of hand. It really is. But hopefully we'll get to see it sorted pretty soon. But I'm going to end off the video, guys, once I have checked the comments from a few of you guys to see what you've had to say throughout this video. But let's look at, of course, Kevin's here. True Liverpool fans actually applaud Newcastle for winning the League Cup. Nasty Liverpool's fans are majority. Yeah, fair enough. At the end of the day, not all of the fans are nasty. But there is, the online ones that we've seen with their comments about, Isak and comments about Newcastle. So fair enough, I'll give you that, Kevin, mate. There is a majority of them that are nasty, but there is quite a few that are okay fans as well. And then got another one here. Forest in the conversation, one massive rise they've had. Yeah, but are they going to be able to continue that rise with what you've just seen? 62.7 million. That's all they've been able to spend in this window, and all because they're handcuffed, like ourselves, like other teams as well, that are trying to compete. So are they going to actually be able to continue that? Who knows? We'll have to wait and see as the season goes on. Rebellion, new the Hiya mate, welcome to the channel. Toon start playing decent wages. They'll never get anyone decent. Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? Once you start paying 300, 400 grand a week, what does that bring to your door? It starts bringing in them mercenary players, and that's not what we want to see. We've seen that in the past. We've seen the mercenary players, the likes of Michael Owen. We've seen, other players along that line as well. We don't need them kinds of players. We need to do what we're doing right now, where we've got players the likes of Bruno, Sandro, Joe Linton. We need players of that ilk to come into the team and be able to be, the players that'll guide this team forward. I mean, you just look at the likes of Bruno as an example, to be honest. He knows what this team is all about. He loves the area. He gets behind the fans. The fans get behind Bruno. We're all, together in this push to, go up the table and, try and win that Premier League title. I mean, that is what the main purpose of this is at the end of the day, is that, teams are in the Premier League to win the Premier League title. If you're not in it to win it, then there's no point in being in the Premier League. I don't see the point in being in one of these teams, where we see it like Palace, yes, they've won the FA Cup last season, but you see them every single season finishing mid-table, maybe just outside of the mid-table or just above the mid-table positions, but they're always around that area of the table in the seasons. We'll see it with loads of teams like that. And I mean, I really do feel for fans that have to support the teams when they're doing that, because for me, it really feels like they're being, sympathizers to these teams like the cartel clubs. It really does feel like they're being sympathizers to these teams, and it's not great, because at the end of the day, like I've said, if you're going to be in the Premier League, you've got to be in there to challenge. You've got to be in there to be going for that Premier League title. And yes, it's going to take money to spend, but until the Premier League loosens the restraints on the other teams outside of their favourites, that is going to be a hard thing to do for a lot of people, and you've seen it right there with the chart that I just put up. You've seen it right there on what that is. That's a good point. Rebellion from Kevin. We need to relax our wage structure a bit. Perhaps that is a put off. Like I've said, you've heard what I said there, Kevin, mate. Once we start doing that, that is when we'll end up seeing, these players coming in, the mercenary players, the likes of Michael Owen in the past, where they're only here for the money, and that's not what we want. We want players that are here to play for the club and not for monetary gain. We don't need them kinds of players coming to the club. Kevin again, why aren't we getting Wissa? He clearly wants to join Newcastle, so why aren't we getting him? Again, that is down to the fact that, Brentford are trying to go out and find a replacement. I talked about in a previous video, Kevin, mate, on the channel. I says that, Brentford won't sell Wissa unless, they get a replacement in first. And that is a similar case to what we're doing with Isak. We won't sell Isak unless we get a replacement in, or unless we get that fee for Isak that we're after, and we'll have that replacement in, because once you sell your players like that, I mean, literally what I've just said in this video, Brentford have lost Thomas Frank, they've lost Brian Mbeumo, they've lost Norgard. Add Wissa to that, that's again another player out the door that they're going to have to end up paying to replace moving forward. Rebellion has said the Mackhams have spent double of the tune. Yeah, they have. But that is purely down to the fact that, they're being allowed to go out there and spend what they want. At the end of the day, they got their money from coming up out of the Championship, and clearly, at the end of the day, the Premier League would love nothing more than, the Mackhams to go into this Premier League season and beat us, in the games, because it's a laugh for them. We've seen it, the Premier League are well and truly against us, and we've seen many, many times. I mean, we're the only team out there that has a filing cabinet inside the Premier League's headquarters with our name on it. I mean, have you seen any other team out there that has that? It's quite evident, they want to stop Newcastle United, but they also want to stop the other teams like Aston Villa and Nottingham Forest as well. Just Newcastle is obviously the main priority because of the funds that we have at our disposal from PIF and what we can do. It's always quite clear that, we're the ones that they want to stop the most going forward. We've got another comment here saying how we are handcuffed. I've just explained how I'm handcuffed. I've explained how the club's handcuffed, mate. I don't need to make it any clearer, and I don't mean to be rude by saying that, but I don't need to make it any clearer. They're stopping Newcastle from going out there and spending the money that we need to spend. They're stopping other teams from going out there as well, from spending the money that needs to be spent. And then you just look at that chart that I put up, right there. You can see it on the screen again if you haven't seen it already. Liverpool, top of the chart, 252.2 million. Chelsea, 240.2 million. That in itself right there shows you everything you need to know. You just look at Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City in there, haven't spent nearly as much, even though they've got more money than the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea and Arsenal. Yet Man City haven't been able to spend nearly as much because they're being held back as well on theirs. And then Man U right in there as well, even though they've got absolutely no money. They can't even afford a piece of land for their new stadium. I mean, it's literally just beyond a joke now. It really is. We've got another comment here. This is going to happen, and UFC will keep Isak for 3 months and Liverpool buy him January, and UFC will lose Champions League 26-27. Man U will be happy. That's not going to happen, mate. Isak wouldn't go in January. The club wouldn't sell him in January. There's just absolutely no point whatsoever for me to do that. Like I've said, unless we have a replacement in, then Isak's going absolutely nowhere. And to be honest, I think there might still be a possibility that even if we were to get somebody in as a replacement, Isak could still stay as well until next summer, because he's got 3 years on his deal. Once this season's over, he'll still have 2 years on his deal, which means in the summer, if we put him out there for a fee, then we could possibly get, a club like Barcelona coming in for him, Real Madrid coming in for him. Barcelona's going to need to get a new striker in next season because Robert Lewandowski is coming to the end of his time in football. And, who better than somebody like Alexander Isak, who has been banging in goals for fun in the Premier League. Definitely the best striker by far in the world right now, and definitely the best striker by far in Europe right now. And that is why everybody wants him. But I don't see, Isak moving in January. I really don't. Beyond, mate, I really didn't see that happening going forward. We've got another comment here. You have money to spend, but players are coming. I don't understand that one. Yeah, we've got the money to spend, but like I've said, we're being held back. Another comment here: City spent close to 200 million in January. Yeah, they spent close to 200 million, but I mean, they needed to at the end of the day because of the situation that they were in. They had Rodri out injured, so that in itself needs to be looked at. Why things were going the way they were going. And we've got another comment here. PSR is definitely making things harder for you, but I feel like a lot of the issues your club is facing could have easily been avoided. Like not having a sporting director has nothing to do with PSR. I mean, we don't really need a sporting director, to be honest, mate. We didn't have a sporting director when the Saudis first took over the club. It was Amanda Staveley doing the dealings. We got the likes of Bruno in, we got Trippier in at first. Then we went and got the likes of Gordon in. With pretty much every player that we've signed has been done by somebody other than a sporting director. I mean, the only sporting directors we've had since the Saudis have come in is Dan Ashworth, which is a little weasel, doing back dealings behind our back to run off to Man United, which we all know how that ended. He fell flat on his ass and he was kicked out within no time because they didn't want him at the club. They just wanted to take him away from Newcastle. And then Paul Mitchell's situation, I mean, I don't know what really went on there, to be honest. Rumours going around that there was a conflict of interest and, Paul Mitchell was trying to get different approach to the project. He was trying to go for more younger players, bringing in the youngsters, the likes of, Brighton doing, and Bournemouth been doing. But that's already been done at them teams. It's already been done at Southampton for bloody years. So, we don't need to be doing that route. We need to be in a situation where we're looking at the players, the likes of Bruno, the likes of Sandro, the likes of Isak from Real Sociedad when we brought him in. Players that are known, but they're not household names. We need players like that coming into the team, and that is what pushes us forward with, the club's project going forward as well. Got another comment here. No, DOF is the problem, not PSR. You have money to spend. Like I've just said, it's not the director of football because none of the directors of football have ever helped with. To be honest, they really haven't done anything for it. It's a location thing. That's why players don't want to go. I've never seen that as an issue, to be honest. I mean, you just look at the players like Sandro Tonali. He was being linked with a move to Arsenal. He chose Newcastle over Arsenal. Bruno was being linked with a move to Arsenal. He chose Newcastle over Arsenal. And there's been other players as well that have been linked to teams elsewhere and they've chose us over them. I mean, so it can't be a location thing. It really can't. We've got another comment here. I believe that if Michael Edwards was your director, Newcastle would not be facing these issues. I really don't rate Michael Edwards, to be honest, as a director. He's good for Liverpool, but I mean, we don't really need a sporting director. We've got a, perfect situation as it is, and we'll probably be getting a sporting director coming in because all clubs do. But if he's going to do anything for the club going forward remains to be seen or not, because the last two that we've had haven't ended well and they went, their way elsewhere. So I don't really see it, to be honest, but we'll wait and see what happens on that one. Another comment here, Liverpool of that chart after spending nothing last summer and they won the title. But like I said, Raj, mate, there was already a squad there built for Arne Slot to go out and, challenge for the Premier League title. It wasn't like he went out there and bought them players himself and then had to gel them together. They were already there, when he went into the team as well. And obviously Liverpool have spent big money this season. You've won the Premier League title and, they've had the chance to pretty much get free reign on going out there and buying who they want as well. But looking at some more comments, and then of course we will end off this stream because it is getting a little bit up there in the time now. That shows they've generated more than you, so can spend more than you. That's just the money that's been spent in the window. That's not how much they've generated going forward, but whatever. On that one, we've also got your owners should be able to pour an unlimited amount of funds into things outside of transfers. You could easily have an academy that dwarfs Chelsea's and Man City's, which is a lot of pure profit. Yeah, that is the one area, Tufts, mate. That's the one area where, the team is progressing forward. That's one area that we're not being held back in the fact that we might be losing out on these household named players that can go straight into the first team, but we're going out there and we're signing top young talent. We're seeing the likes of Alfie Harrison from Man City join Newcastle. We've seen Oliver Goodbrand come from Rangers. We've also seen Alfie as well coming from Rangers, another Alfie coming from Rangers. Then we've got Trevor Sanusi in there. We've got the new kid, Park Seong-soo, coming from South Korea, who looks absolutely fantastic, by the way. We've also got, Antonio Codera as well, what we got from Malaga, beating away the likes of Barcelona and Real Madrid for him. So, that is the one area that does look very promising, because we are, bringing in them young players. We're bringing in the talent that is going to be the future stars. And if they're not future stars, then, like you say, they're going to be pure profit because they're coming through the academy at the club. So that is something that is progressing really, really well. And that is purely down to the work that Eddie Howe has done with players already at the club, and young players as well, the likes of Miley, and we're seeing other players as well coming from the youth team. And that's because Eddie's got an eye for, the talent of the young lads coming through the group, and coming into the first team and giving them their push to get into the first team as well, which is really, really good. That is something that is very promising. So, yeah, I agree with you on that, mate. We're doing really, really well on the academy side of things, which hopefully continues to go on. We've got a comment here. To be fair, Man U probably generate more in shirt sales than you do entirely. Let's be real here. They're a huge club. I don't agree with that. I mean, the shirt sales alone for us from Saudi Arabia are really, really huge sales. And then we've got the South Korean shirt sales as well, where we're selling loads of shirts over there during the pre-season tour to Asia. What is the next option now for Newcastle? Nicholas Jackson. Yeah, Nicholas Jackson has been linked. Yeah, Nicholas Jackson has been linked with the club. I mean, personally, he's got Premier League experience, obviously, but he doesn't look that promising of a player. He seems to lack the composure in front of goal, in my opinion. But we have seen, Eddie do some really good stuff with players. So if that is a player that we are looking at, then, that is clearly something that Eddie thinks that you'll be able to improve. Or it could just be, again, like we've been seeing a lot of this season, pure media speculation where, where names just being flung into the hat with him from his agency or by the club themselves to, garner a bit more transfer fee onto the player and garner a bit more interest towards the player as well going forward. Breaking news: Sunderland bid 2 million, 3 curly whirlies and a bag of pickled onion monster munch. Yeah, whatever. Clearly some Mackham there trying to have a bit of fun. We've got another one here. Isak replacement. Is Benjamin Sesko the same for Newcastle now? And Jan Wisa should sign for Newcastle United. I don't think Benjamin Sesko is going to be signing forward, mate, if you're saying that, because, like I've said, it looks like he is going to be going to Man United. Johan Wissa, however, there's still a chance that he could sign for Newcastle United, but again, we are going to be, waiting to see what Brentford do, because Brentford have said that if they don't get a replacement, then they're not going to be able to sell Johan Wissa because they won't have the player there for when the season starts. We've got some Liverpool fans trying to have a little bit of fun in the chat, which I'm not going to be putting that up on the screen. Got some Man United fans trying to have a bit of fun as well. What happened to Paul Mitchell? Didn't even realise he left you guys. Yeah, he left a while ago. The conflict of interest, I think, like I said, there was a different approach that he was trying to do, and things just didn't work out. Sorry, but name a top team with no sporting director. There is a few teams out there that don't have sporting directors. I can't name them off the top of my head right now, but there is a few, and I'm sure there will be quite a few teams out there that don't. Newcastle fans should stop this bull crap. UL club biggest. Yeah, whatever. Clearly, there's quite a few trolls getting into the chat, I see, on this one. This guy hasn't a clue what he's talking about, just a salty as fuck. Yeah, well, mate, you can say that as much as you want. At the end of the day, what I've said is literally true. We're being held back. Other teams as well, the likes of Villa and Forest, and other teams that want to compete are being held back. So you can say I'm salty as fuck. You can say I don't know what I'm talking about. But I mean, I've been supporting my team for 35 years. I know what I'm talking about. I know the game. I know Premier League. And I know what, things are going on behind the scenes. So you can say whatever you want. At the end of the day, you're entitled to that. That's your opinion. But, I mean, to say I'm salty as fuck, clearly you must be a fan of one of them teams. Don't really rate Michael Edwards. No, I don't really rate Michael Edwards. I really don't. I don't think he's that good of a sporting director, to be honest. And most of the things where Liverpool did get players, he wasn't the sporting director when Liverpool got them. So I really don't rate him. It's just my opinion at the end of the day. Everybody's entitled to it. Don't think Isak will play again for Newcastle. I think, to be honest, there's a good possibility that he will. But we'll have to wait and see what happens on that one. It is a DOF. You've had a couple of stinkers. Michael Edwards has led Liverpool to where they are. You should have sold Isak in June, early July, and built off for that. I've already said my piece on Isak, mate. I think, to be honest, we've just got to wait and see what happens on that one. But I do believe that there will be a possibility that he could stay and then go next summer. Because, like I say, if we don't have a replacement, Isak's not going to be leaving Newcastle United. And we've got another comment here. How are you? Ross Wilson should be appointed as the sporting director of Newcastle. Yes, Ross Wilson has been linked with the move to Newcastle as a sporting director. I haven't seen anything other than, it being mentioned that he is being looked at, but we'll have to wait and see on it, to be honest, because the only thing that we're seeing a lot posted about is Isak moving away from Newcastle, and we're not seeing much else, to be honest, on the backroom side of things because of that whole situation with the Isak saga going on. But I have seen Ross Wilson being mentioned, yes. Adieu, I believe that is. Sorry if I've butchered your name there. Not what I expected a few years ago when the Saudis bought the club. But like I said, mate, we're held back. we can't really spend the money that we've got to spend because of all these rules that were put in, not long after we got the takeover. So these things happen. We'll just have to take it on the chin and go on and see, what happens this season. But I think even with what is going on right now, I think we will still have a really good season. We're back in the Champions League for the second time in 3 years. We've got ourselves our first trophy in 70 years domestically, 56 years overall since we last won the Intercities Fairs Cup, which was our last trophy before the League Cup last season. But things are on the up, it might not look it right now, but I think we will have a really good season either way going forward. We've got another comment here as well. Yes, Newcastle has legacy, but remember, UL just came from lower leagues pro. Don't know what you're on about on that one, mate. Ain't got a clue. Are you about 40 years old? I mean, what's that got to do with the video, mate? Clearly, what has that got to do with the video? Yes, there's a bunk bed there. Who cares? I hear this comment constantly on every single video I do. Yes, there's a bunk bed there. Who cares? And as for the walls, who cares? At the end of the day, this is a room. I record the videos. I do videos in the room. That is it. It's what I'm talking about that matters, not what is behind us or in the background of the videos. I mean, these kind of comments just show, just how fickle these people are. It's just absolutely pathetic. Get a life. Move on. Talking absolute bollocks, go and do your research. Yeah, whatever. My club ain't broke, mate, so you can do one on that because we've got way more money than you. So clearly not a broke club. More crap. After no more crap, and more crap, more crap, more crap. Get rid of that comment. More crap. Whoa. Looks like, you lads are really scared of Newcastle United, plenty of comments in here of absolute crap. I think it's mismanagement by PIF. They're not used to running a business. They can't just throw infinite money at to make it successful. They don't know what to do. They're doing really well. I mean, I've just said it, second Champions League in 3 years. First cup in 70 years, 56 years, all told. They've done what nobody else was able to do. They've done what, Fat Boy Ashley was not able to do. So, what more do you want from us? At the end of the day, we're doing the entertaining football here. We're putting in the minutes. We're going out there and we're entertaining you fans on a weekend. We're giving you the matches that people want to see. Look at the game against PSG, for an example. Look at the game last season in the League Cup. Newcastle absolutely dominated Liverpool from start to finish, beat you in 90 minutes easily. So at the end of the day, we're doing what we're doing. We're gaining revenue year upon year, 30% growth. The fastest growing team on revenue year upon year. So like I've said, it's only a matter of time before eventually we catch up to the likes of Spurs. We'll catch up to the likes of Liverpool, Man U, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea in the revenue department. And then once we catch up to that, bye-bye to, them teams competing for the Premier League titles. Yes, you could compete, but I mean, we'll have the funds. We'll be able to go out there and we'll be able to blow you out of the water. So you can chat shit all you want. You can say I talk nonsense. You can say I don't know fuck all about football. You can complain about me bunk bed, you can complain about me walls, but at the end of the day, at least I don't have to support a team, that is 5 miles away from us, 6 miles away from us. I support my team, Newcastle United, right there, right in the heart of the city, right where I live. And that is, the gist of it, to be honest. So you can chat shit all you want at the end of the day. I really don't care. Because you can say 20 league titles, 6 Champions Leagues. They're just numbers. You don't have 20 league titles neither. The Premier League was created in 92, 93. You did not win 20 Premier League titles in that time. Man United couldn't have also won them titles in that time. This is the logic of these people. This is the logic of you lot. You come up with this absolute crap, and it's just pathetic. It really is. It's just pathetic. Yeah, like Jessica says, they are trolls. Take no notice. Fair enough. That's what I'm saying. They're absolute trolls. How dare they come on and, make comments the way they're making them. At the end of the day, it's free speech. Do what you want. At the end of the day, come on, make the comments all you want. I mean, I'm getting the engagement. I could sit here all day. I mean, got 39 people watching. I could sit here all day because you're giving me the engagement. You're coming on, you're looking at my video, and you're, chatting shit about my team. At the end of the day, I really don't give a crap because, Newcastle United are going where we want to go. We're going to be winning them trophies. We've won our first trophy, which was last season against Liverpool. We didn't do it the easy way. We did it the hard way. And that is it. That is absolutely it. Trophies matter. Yeah, they do. But so does football. Without the fans, you've got nothing. So that's something that needs to be looked at. That's something, that the Sky need to realise that if they keep choosing these teams, then they will lose, the viewership from teams like Newcastle. They'll lose viewership from other teams that aren't supporting these teams. It's only the name change, though. It's not the name change, Ray. It's not the name change. It's a brand new league. 93, 92, 93 was when the Premier League was created. It is not a name change. It is a brand new league. When you get promoted from the Championship, which you guys will never ever see because you're protected, by the way. But once you get promoted from the Championship, the trophy you lift is the same trophy you lifted for the First Division title. The Premier League is a brand new league. Go research it up if you don't believe it, but it's a brand new league. Fair enough. You say you're no troll. You're a Toon fan. Fair enough. We just have to smarter going forward and get the Sesko and Ekatikis before the cartel do. Yeah, if we're not handcuffed, mate. If we're not handcuffed. I'm going to end the stream off because quite a lot of trolls are here. And at the end of the day, I really can't be arsed, to be honest. But I will say, upon closing and ending this video out, enjoy the Premier League season coming up. There's going to be quite a few eye-opening moments, shall we say, for teams out there. There's going to be quite a few moments where they realise that teams are coming for them and that, it's not going to be that long until you see other teams taking over. That's all I'm going to say. And I will, of course, be ending this stream now. Thanks to all of the decent people that had the respect to comment respectfully on this live stream, and for all of the people that have decided to just purely come on and troll. Go ahead, do whatever you want. It really doesn't bother us, because at the end of the day, I know where Newcastle United's going. You can troll all you want, but we get the last laugh. So enjoy.